Good morning, land of YouTube. Well, my hat is not perfect, and I guess it doesn't need to be, but I've got a mild touch of OCD sometimes. Plus, who doesn't want to look good, right? Well, as you can see the lighting on my face from the phone, that's the only way to really judge that it's darker. Isn't that cool? Look at that, and my face gets brighter. So, it's really actually kind of dark outside. All the lights are on over there. You can see those lights flashing. That's what tells you it's dark outside. Although, I've got a very bright backdrop. It ain't bright outside. It's pretty much twilight right now. It's not pitch black, just twilight, right before sunrise. And I'm excited to see my kids today, for one. You know, I get to go see them in person. I've got a little plan. And I'm more excited with the direction my life is taking based on a vision that I have for myself. A grand vision I have for artistry, and just the smaller things that are fun that fall into place. And I want to give you guys a rundown of what happened. So, Sunday. Now, I only have one vehicle currently. That's my Sprinter van. And that van became like a work / kid / camping mobile. I had it as a purchase. It was with solar panels on top and a little vent, max air fan vent. Pretty much nothing else in the van. It was gutted. I put a second row seat in there so I could carry 3 more passengers. At the time, it was my 2 little ones, and I'd be able to take 2 adults with me as well. Granted, I didn't pile anybody in the back, just laying down or something like that. That never happened. I wouldn't suggest it. I did, however, have a hammock up one time, and I thought, how cool would it be to ride around in a hammock? Whatever. So, my van became a work van mainly. That's what I had bought it for. And I put my shelving in, all my tools, inventory. And so over the time, I added a lot of stuff to that van. It's got Bluetooth lighting in the back. I put a wood-lined roof in. There's a fridge in there that runs off the solar, a 2000 watt inverter. And so that pretty much just runs itself always. No problems. And never without a fridge. It will not kill the chassis battery. Those are separate. And I put a hitch on it, new rims, and so basically altogether I got like $17,000 into this vehicle. And it's a $25,000 rig. It's not perfect. It's got some dings. It's a 2012. Right after I bought it, I think I had it for about 6 months or so. Check engine light goes off. And I'm like, fuck, what the fuck? I've only had this for 6 months. The young man I bought it from, he had a bunch of work done at Mercedes. He had receipts for it. And, I thought, okay, cool. Well, at least I will have it for some time without a problem, most likely. And so 6 months goes by, and then I get a check engine light. I head into my local Mercedes guy to find out what's going on, and he says, oh yeah, it's doing this, right? Before I even got anything out of my mouth, he tells me what's going on with my vehicle. And I'm naturally like, okay, well, he must know something I don't know. Good thing I'm here. I went to the specialist, right? And sure as shit, I had been in there a few weeks probably like 6-8 weeks prior with a little Mercedes AMG 32 model. That was super cool. I think it was like a Miata with 350 horsepower, basically, same size. I'm not going to get sidetracked. So he tells me, dude, you made it by 2 days. You got to get into Mercedes and have them do this emissions recall update, because they're going to replace all this shit on your vehicle for free, and it should solve the problem. Cool. So I make the appointment. I get my van in about a month later. That was the earliest appointment I can make. But they do like $7,000 worth of work, new exhaust, a bunch of other stuff. Then after I get it back, check engine light comes on again. And get this, because of the emissions update, all kinds of shit now is covered under warranty. So they take care of that next thing. And via proxy, that emission update, Sunday, my van, I'm driving along out past Dixon, about an hour and 45 minutes, almost 2 hours away from Santa Rosa. And clearly I'm distracted by motorcycles. If you know me personally, then you'll know I like two wheels. Whatever. I get out past Dixon, and my van on the highway cruises along at like 80 miles an hour in the slow lane with the flow of traffic, decides to turn off. So I put it in neutral and I coasted to where I got. Thank God I was about a block from O'Reilly's, but that didn't really matter. I thought maybe the battery had fucked up or something like that. So I take the battery in to get it checked out. And I had tested it, it said 12 volts, but I didn't know the cranking amps. And he says, no, the battery's good. So I'm fucked. I'm like, oh no. I get towed back. It gets to Mercedes around 8:30 that night. This ordeal started around 11:30 in the morning. I didn't stress out. I actually pulled the hammock out of the van and went between two trees right there in the parking lot of it was a neuroscience school I was stuck in the parking lot of. I just hung out, read, took a nap. And long and short of it is, that following Monday morning, I decided instead of my regular walk that I was going to walk over to Mercedes. And along the way, I spotted two vehicles. Well, mainly the one vehicle that was covered in cobwebs. And I thought, well, geez, if I have to get a second vehicle real quick that I can fix, because technically I know a lot about gasoline engines. I've rebuilt a few of them from scratch with new bearings, everything, down to block. To where the block was checked and honed. I know nothing about diesel or Mercedes diesel. I mean, it's a specialty training that I have not taken any interest into, even though I own a van. I just figured, fuck it, it's under warranty, let them deal with it. And that kind of simplifies my life a little bit, because you know, if I was headstrong and wanted to learn everything about my van in the first place and never took it in, I would have never known it was under warranty or had that free work done. I wouldn't have known. I bought the thing used, right? So I'm trying to simplify my life by doing less, and sometimes less is more, because I get all the free time that I would have been fucking around trying to fix this goddamn thing. I get all that extra time to do other things. I've always kind of been a one-man show, and that, I think, drove me into the ground, just like I could witness looking at my father, for instance. Him being a super controlling one-man show his whole life has done him no good. Ultimately, he just paid for it with his health, his mood, his anger. Okay, back to the point here. I'm on my walk to Mercedes. And guess what? I see this little Ford Escape, 6 cylinders, covered in cobwebs. And I'm like, okay, well, something clearly happened to that. It's been there a while. I could probably pick it up really cheap and get it going. and drive that as a second car, temporary car, right? Versus, you know, some kind of like buying a rental car or something like that. Mercedes had an issue with loaners, and my appointment last time with them was about 6 to 8 weeks out before they could line me up with a loaner. Now that was acceptable. My van was running fine, and it was just the light was on for a diesel exhaust heater. Diesel exhaust fluid heater. So, skipping ahead, they tell me at Mercedes that there's no chance of a loaner unless somebody cancels or whatever. So, I'm basically on a wait list. Now, if they call me and say, hey, we've got a loaner, cool, I'm going to shuffle over there and get a loaner because it'll be cool to drive around in a brand new Mercedes. I mean, why not at that point? But get this, that little covered in spiderweb car, I take a picture of it and I'm like, mental note, I'm going to go back there at some point and talk to the lady or owner, men. Actually, in my head, I just figured it was a lady for some reason. So, I get about 3/4 of a mile away from there. End up having a chat with another lady. She had some eyeballs on the back of her vehicle in preparation for Halloween or something like that. I made a comment. I showed her my tattoo on my back, which is a big eyeball. And it's got like a reptilian slit in it, like a caiman. We get into a conversation. She ends up agreeing to, because I asked her if I can get a ride and give her gas money. She said she didn't want any gas money and she'd give me a ride to Mercedes from there. That way I was on time and there at 8. On the way, she tells me about the property she just came from where a gentleman died and they're doing this barn sale and there's a vehicle there for sale. And she says, I said, well, how much do you guys want for the vehicle? And she told me it was a little SUV. She says $200. I just happen to have $200 cash in my wallet. And I was thinking, well, that's funny. Let's go see what this thing looks like. So after I stopped by Mercedes and she waited, she drove me over to see this SUV and this barn, like with a bunch of cool collectible stuff being sold. I made a decision that I did not want to buy this vehicle because, for one, somebody had lived in it, and two, they also used a screwdriver to start the thing. It had some kind of head gasket issue. Blah, 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 yaki, yaki. It was throttled. And it smelled like I'd get sick being inside of it. So, I make a decision. I do not want that. The lady nicely gives me a ride back to Mercedes. I did leave her with a little bit of gas money, even though she said no. She can use it for whatever. She was kind. A day goes by, and my father offers to pay for a rental vehicle because he finds out that, I'm without vehicle. And looking up the price of this is going to be at least right around $800 for 2 weeks. In which case, I see Mercedes having my van for a minimum of 2 weeks. Last time they knew what they were doing, and they had the van for right around 2.5 weeks. And that was only replacing one part that they already had an appointment 8 weeks in advance for. This time, the thing got fucking towed in there with an unknown issue. And, it was a surprise. So it's probably not on the forefront radar of getting straight to it. They probably got a lot of other shit going on, judging by their full parking lot. Half of those being sprinters. So yeah, $800, $900. Now, I thought, okay, well, with that kind of number in my mind, I'm going to go check on this little SUV that I saw covered in spiderwebs. Later that day, I get a ride by there from my friend. And I knock and I'm chatting. And she says, oh, no, you don't want that one. But the one next to it, I'll sell you for what the recycler was going to give me for it. And I said, well, what's that? And she says, $650. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I go and take a peek at it. It looks like a very nice vehicle. Just something mechanically went wrong with it, right? So, a day goes by. Wednesday we're at, yesterday. And I set the stage for this purchase with the funding from my father because he offered to buy a rental vehicle. And now, right now, with the money invested into this vehicle at $600 even, including the tow and a new battery. So this is including the tow and a new battery. So about $135, $140 between the tow and the battery. We're at basically 1 week of a rental vehicle. And I have a 2012 Dodge Journey that the inside looks like it's brand new. And the outside one's cleaned up a little bit more. I just roughly cleaned it up. Cleaned up really nice. The thing looks like it's brand new. It's got no dings, no scratches anywhere. It's got rims on it. I will include some photos at the end of this video. I'll get some later. I'll do maybe a little walkthrough clip. And I just think it's amazing the things that happen with intention and mindset. And then also, I'm a firm believer in doing good and having it come back. So if I'm out doing a bunch of harm, then pretty much my life's going to turn into some kind of ugly, miserable spot somehow, and I'm going to have to struggle. If I'm not doing a bunch of good, well, if I'm out just being good, being a good person and living through love and light, infecting the world this way, then I believe I run into situations like the young lady that sold me this vehicle that's been sitting there for about 3 years in the driveway. It's been sitting since about 2019. With that in mind, she was a very pleasant young lady, very straightforward, has 2 children, single mother, and funny enough, she had like 1111 tattooed above her ankle on her shin. Now, occasionally I find myself sending important messages spiritually, and what I look back at the time that I sent it, not even intentionally planning it, and it's sent at like 11:11 in the morning, or sometimes 11:11 at night, or it's sent at 1:11 in the afternoon. I'm not planning that at all. I used to receive messages at that time kind of frequently. I would see it on the clock, right? And then I became part of this deepened flow to where I now send messages that are spiritually based. And I look back, and it could even be a text to somebody, but it's random, and then it's just right at that time. So subconsciously, I might be doing it intentionally. I don't know. It's just funny because I look back later on, and I'm like, oh wow, I sent that at 11:11 exactly. But that's just a 111 theory. I am a firm believer in manifesting a better life for ourselves in ways that are unfathomable, literally unfathomable, with normal, current, standardized thought process out here in society. So, my bright future ahead of me is already set by my decision in my mind with a vision. As I walk on a effortless path through my life, looking for the path of least resistance to flow into a higher vibratory state constantly, this is what I find. I find things that look miserable at first, like a vehicle breakdown, that turns into a second vehicle opportunity that's really actually very nice. I mean, the inside's like brand new. It's not throttled. The outside's pretty damn straight. It's like a fresh start for a vehicle, and it hardly costs anything. Like, I'm going to have to put a little bit of work into it. I did start it up after I put the battery in it, so there's that. Like, I know it had some kind of coolant issue and possible head gasket problem, but I can repair the head gasket on this thing. I know how to. So that's a skill that I acquired back in the day of just wanting to fix my own shit, or wanting to buy things, fix them, and sell them. So that's another skill. I saw this vehicle sitting. I knew before I even approached this person that I would be able to approach them and buy, well, the adjacent vehicle. I wasn't really eyeballing the one I ended up with, which is funny. It's like the universe was like, here's an upgrade, have the better one. Yeah. I just consider the amount of good work I do. Like, I'll sit in an uncomfortable situation with somebody that's like maybe a toxic rage machine, and most people out in society are actually just finding the same kind of vibratory pattern. Like, one rage monger finds another rage monger, and then they rage together, and they're like, I hate you. And I'm like, this is ugly. I don't like this version of the world. I'd wish to not be in your presence anymore. But I'll point out, I mean, I won't say that directly, but I'll point out, did you know none of that had to happen? Like, you could have just relaxed and took your foot off the accelerator instead of flooring it. Now, is it my place to point out something like that to somebody that's in the middle of being angry because somebody turned out in front of them with enough room for them to react in a parking lot? Maybe it's not my place to point it out, but I still point it out. Now, I see so much room for improvement around me, behavior-wise, with society, that certain situations make me feel ill. And I don't feel comfortable in them, and I don't even want to be in them anymore. I don't want to sit there and ride around with somebody that's going to drive like a crazy person and then rage out the window to them because, well, for one, this exact individual yesterday that I'm speaking of, he smokes marijuana. And you might say, well, marijuana doesn't make him like that. And I would say, to the contrary, marijuana daily with some individuals does make them like that. And then they're not even aware of it, and they think they're a good person. Yet they run around doing a lot of harm. I, unfortunately, grew up with that in my life through my father and his friends. And heavy daily smokers, or just regular daily smokers that smoke, once or twice or three times a day, end up with, like, in my opinion, it's uncanny, the commonalities between them. Well, the ones that I know. Like 100% of the ones I know that are like my father and all hang out together, they've got rage issues. They've got fight issues. They don't know how to handle their emotions properly. They think they're a good person, and then they fly out the handle, flip out, and abuse people. And they cause confrontation and challenge people to fights. And I just think, man, there's a better way to walk around in life. I can get angry, but guess what I use my anger for? I use it for motivation to do better, to better myself. That's how I utilize my anger. Like, it's going to propel me towards a better objective. That's me. I'm just a different person. Other people do get angry and get motivated to get the job done proper, right? Some people get angry and they're like, fuck it, and they throw a wrench in the works. I'm not doing this no more, and they abandon themselves in all hope of humanity. It's easy to do that, too. I could look around and say, well, humanity's kind of fucked. In which case, everybody's in their own version of what they consider good. They're all there. Everybody. Woo! That was a good one. Everybody is out doing their best in life. One way or the other. Everything they've learned. They're doing their best. I see it painful when I see struggle. I see pain. I see struggle. I see fear. I see struggle. I see people going through life on a path. Whatever path their path is. And I see even the fucking happy ones in a form of struggle. Like, or slave mentality, one way or the other, right? Does that make it fair for me to run up to them randomly and say, hey, by the way, this is all this, and I open their eyes randomly? No, it's not really that fair. So, on a one-to-one thing, or if it's right in front of me, I may choose to affect the situation the way I do by the way the situation would have the best outcome. So if somebody could benefit from me having a 5 to 10 minute chat with them and them telling me about their life and what they want to do, and then I say, well, this would be a really good direction to start heading in. That's all I do now. And I typically get thank yous. Like Tuesday, I went into, after a fellowship meeting, we went to get tacos for Taco Tuesday. And I was having a chat with a young lady in front of me in line, and her father was right in front of her. I sparked up a conversation because of her NASA sweatshirt. And then I said, have you seen the new Space Force logo? And it's Space Delta 8 or something like that, or Delta 16, whatever. It might be 18. I could pull it up and look at it, whatever. I didn't plan on having it in my video. In any case, it's a Sphinx with like a, not a pyramid, but it's a really cool logo. So I show this young lady. You guys can look it up if you want. Super cool. Egyptian style. And I'm having a conversation, and then immediately she was like a little nervous to talk. And I was like, oh, no. You can't be nervous to talk. And the dad chimes in and he's like, exactly. I've been trying to get her out of this because she gets so nervous and then she clams up, and that's not healthy. And so we're just having a conversation. The dad goes, man, I wish you were my neighbor. And I was like, that's funny because it's like a Mr. Rogers mentality. You know, child development and all. Actually, human development. That's kind of what I'm into, is developing humans to be better. Okay, so this guy pays for his food and then turns around and hands me a $20 bill and says, I'd like to pay for your food. And I was like, how cool is that? Thank you, mister. I gave him a hug. I mean, shit, he earned it, right? Personally, I would have gave him a hug either way, but he felt like the conversation and the good work done with his daughter, there was a value there. So he wanted to pay for that value. And that's what happened. Like, I didn't intentionally look forward to anything like that, but I also get a lot of free food too. It's almost like I know I get free food and then it shows up one way or the other. Somebody will feed me half a sandwich. It just happens. It's really fucking strange. The other day at the taco truck, I went to try to pay and the guy wouldn't even let me pay. He said, no, just pay later. And I thought, wow, that's weird. All I was doing was having a good conversation with him, making up words in Spanish like que carne, which is cheese meat in my opinion. That's what I was telling him. That's all I wanted in my burrito was cheese meat. And this guy just gives me a free fucking meal. It happens actually all over. I got a free meal from KFC. I got 2 free meals from Taco Bell. I got a free meal from McDonald's. It's fucking ridiculous, actually. The way all of this works, mentality-wise, is very, very ridiculous. but it's happening. And there are some rules and loopholes to certain things, like Taco Bell, for instance. Technically, I had a brother-in-law that worked there, and he said, if you leave your wallet at home and you tell the manager that, they'll give you a free meal. I didn't do that. I didn't say, oh yeah, I left my wallet at home. But one time I did, and I couldn't pay one of these meals that were free, and they gave me the free meal. The other time, I attempted to pay, and for some reason it wasn't working, and they gave me a free meal. And that was because I think I was trying to use my phone. Something was jacked up with the phone. It's certain. I could break down each instance. KFC, though, that was completely free based on a receipt thing from a gentleman that gets food there. And he just instructed me on what to do. So I actually have a reliable place to go right now for a meal if I need it. Don't have to pay at all. Just walk up, ask for a receipt at the window, go do my thing with it real quick, come back, and bam, $10 meal for free. I think learning certain things like that within a society, very, very beneficial, one, but also super cool. Like, no. So I'm looking forward to working on this car. I will make a quick little video once I get back to it in daylight. I'm buying some parts for it, and I believe I'm going to get to work on it. That way it's up and running in about 2 days, and I have a nice little vehicle to roll around in. So I'm going to end this video. Stop rambling. I'm just sharing my excitedness about manifestation or such things. And it's really, it moves beyond manifestation when it really just becomes a mindset. It goes to like creation. That's ultimately what everybody's doing each time they speak, whether they know it or not, but they are creating. And we are creators. If you really want to look at it from a creation, creator, creative aspect, and you're open to the possibilities that, well, maybe everything you've learned up to this point is accurate, maybe it's not. And I say that because I'm looking at, the possibility that this is a normal person watching the video. And I say normal as in 93% or so of society. The masses out here have been programmed by society's standards and constraints and Hollywood media, programming, social media, all of that, to believe what's right in front of you. I'm not saying that that's not real. I'm just saying that there's layers to existence that are much more real. As in, 3D's real, right in front of us, solid, tangible. There's laws. We have to abide by those laws. Then there's a spiritual realm that also has laws. And then there's beyond. I don't know how many people are really ready to go beyond, like Star Trek. Boldly going where no man has gone before. Well, I'm currently occupying a pretty awesome mind space, and within that mind space, I find an inherent amount of freedom, love, and light that I get to spill out on the world, and in turn, my conscious universe just supplies abundance in a good way, the most loving way I could ever have. So it's because I love myself the most that my universe loves me the most. And all I have to do is actually take advantage of what is presented and walk through each different effortless path to an ultimate goal of good. And the outcome being good for everybody. If I get in a funky mood, which is human, then I could have some poor consequences or outcomes. So technically, I have to be a little bit more conscientious of my mood and my emotions, almost mastering emotions, because it's easy to get butthurt in a situation. But the best thing is to learn how to not react. Good morning. The best thing is to not react in certain situations ever, especially when they're uncomfortable, icky, or feel nasty or foreign or angry, especially if you're a kind, loving person. Really don't want to cause a bunch of harm just because you're experiencing it. But some people don't care, and some people don't even know that they're doing it. They're not even aware. They think they're just some golden person. So to each their own. I guess that's the biggest deal, because, perception and the way that we walk through life is all that really matters. So what one person thinks and perceives may not be what the other person thinks and perceives. It may be starkly contradictory or in a stark contrast. And, for shits and giggles, other people might see some crazy person fucking walking around. And I might see them completely crazy. So perception is everything. And I know like-mindedness that I find. I know how beautiful the things that happen with my like-mindedness in other forms that I vibrate into. I know the creative aspects and the creative juiciness that we make together, and the love that's received and amplified between us. And I say that as in, only positive good things come out of positive good things. And there's always a little bit of a negative, I guess, because of, naturally, I'm a very, very high vibrational being. So I've actually been working on having certain crystals to help me vibrate at a lower frequency, which also feels kind of yucky, but it does help. It helps me communicate with people better, to where they hear me instead of being freaked out by my energy, which is good. It really is fucking amazing to not freak people out. I'll tell you why. If I ran around freaking a bunch of people out, they could have some kind of experience on par with a story you may have heard of a figure showing up in black, and they couldn't really remember the person's face, and they were having a chat on some back road, and then, they felt like they met an alien. So, I've had a few instances, personally, where I've had conversations with people, and my energy was up, very spiked. I've had those people call me back later on to check and make sure something happened, because they didn't remember. They were so affected by my energy that they fucking forgot part of what happened. They were sober. One of them was a repair setting. One was a friend. But they didn't remember what went on. Now I thought, damn, that's dangerous, because if I have an effect on somebody to where they don't remember what the fuck happened, that can be really fucking harmful. Like, I could do something thinking somebody's consciously participating, and then turn out they weren't. They weren't even present for it. They were somewhere in La La Land in their head, some fucking fantasy factory, and had no idea what was going on. So is it fair for me to run around doing that to people? Fuck no, it ain't. And the bad part is, I don't even know how to tell when it's real or not for them. So I'm just going to keep being me, and with good intentions and good motives, and find out what happens, because this fucking path of life is very cool. It's very unique, and it's very different. It's different for me every day. Every single day I wake up is new. It's better than the last, and I look forward to the unknown possibilities of where my day is going to take me. I have certain decisions I make. They're concrete. And I watch how those paths play out by walking into them with the path of least resistance. And when that happens, I end up accomplishing whatever goal I set my mind to without any direct effort. Isn't that cool? Like, it just happens around me, one way or the other. I make a decision I'm going to be out of a certain place, and I don't actually act on it, but then everything lines up and I get forced out. I get kicked out by a violent person, and I get accepted in by a loving person. So it's really strange and chaotic. I am now at Starbucks, and I'm gonna end this video and start another video when I am at the vehicle. I'll cram those two together, and hopefully I'll get the thing to upload. I have a 15-minute video that's trying to upload after 4 days. It's not going. Whatever. Peace. All right, land of YouTube, I'm back. This is that vehicle I was telling you guys about. I got to it. I bought the piece I needed to buy. And I discovered, well, I bought everything I needed, which was some new spark plugs, some sealant that may or may not work. And I also bought breakfast. Okay, so with that in mind, I discovered the original problem when I was just doing a visual inspection, about to replace that coolant filler neck that was busted. And the piece that failed was something called a coolant inlet housing, which it houses the thermostat, a temperature sensor, and it's got heater hoses going to it. And the plastic, it's just made of shitty plastic. The coolant kind of eats it away, and then it degrades and falls apart, and then you end up with a hot vehicle. If you're not alert of your gauges, then you can drive it to where it blows the head gasket. Kind of a bad design, in my opinion, for people that do not know how to keep an eye on their gauges. So, let me give you a walkthrough of this thing. Look at its overall condition is like that of brand new almost. It's got satellite radio. Looks like it wasn't driven very much at all. It's got 104,000 miles on it. There's some dirt, right? It's a little dirty. But for what it's worth, it's got some little protectors for the wet weather. You can roll down the window over here and have no water come in and still get air in the rain. That's cool. It's got rims. Look at those. Wait, let's go this way. Look at those rims. And then, I cleaned it up just a little bit. It's in good condition overall. This thing has good paint. No body damage visible that I can see. This is kind of what it looked like. It looked a little worse than this when I picked it up. It's got a third row seat in the back. Shit, there's a little tiny bit of paint transfer here. That's all. Somebody bumped something. I can rub that out with some, I can use carb cleaner and take that off in 3 seconds. So, overall though, I put a battery in this thing, started it. And yes, it does have a bad head gasket. The head gasket and the head bolts, with reusing all the other seals and everything like that, which I'm pretty sure I can do on this model on the amount of mileage. The head gasket and the bolts are another $100. So if this stuff that I just spent $150 on does not work, it doesn't pan out, I can go and buy the head gasket and the bolts and spend 2 days and fucking fix it right. And I may end up doing that no matter what. But this Blue Devil stuff that I got, I've had really good success. I've used it in a vehicle that was my personal vehicle. Me monitoring gauges and shit like that. Really staying aware of things. I've used it and had 60,000 miles go by. And not a problem. And I had mixed oil in that vehicle. And so head gasket blown, mixed oil, and overheat problem. This is it. Stuff is a miracle. So I am gonna go and smash these videos together and then put it on YouTube. See how long it takes to upload. Be good, land of YouTube.